Hi again. In this video I'll be talking about vectors. A vector is nothing more than a sequence of data elements of the same basic data type. Remember the atomic vector types I discussed before? We can have character vectors, numeric vectors, logical vectors, and many more. First things first, creating a vector in R. We use the C function for this, which allows you to combine values into a vector. Suppose you're playing a basic card game and record the suit of 5 cards you draw from a deck. A possible outcome and corresponding vector to contain this information could be this one. Of course, we could also assign this character vector to a new variable, drawn_suits for example. We now have a character vector, drawn_suits. We can assert that it is a vector by typing is.vector drawn_suits. Likewise, we could create a vector of integers for example to store how much cards of each suit remain after we drew the 5 cards. Let's call this vector remain. There are 11 more spades, 12 more hearts, 11 diamonds, and all 13 clubs still remain. If we print remain to the console, it looks okay, but it's not very informative. How does somebody else know that the first value corresponds to spades? Wouldn't it be useful if we could attach labels to the vector elements? We can do this in R by naming the vector. We can use the names function for this. Let's first create another character vector, suits, that contains the strings, spades, hearts, diamonds, and clubs, the names we want to give our vector elements. Now, this line of code sets the names of the elements in remain to the strings in suits. If we now print remain to the console, we'll see that the suits information is accompanied by the proper labels. Great. If we don't want to bother with setting the names afterwards, we could just as well create a named vector with a one-liner. We can use equal signs inside the C function. Notice that here, it's not necessary to surround the names, spades, hearts, diamonds, and clubs with double quotes, although this also works perfectly fine. In all three cases, the result is exactly the same. Under the hood, our vectors have attributes associated with them. What we did when we set the names of the remain vector is actually setting the names attributes of the remains object. The str function that compactly displays the structure of an R object shows this. We'll have plenty of fun creating and naming variables in all sorts of ways, but before I let you do it, there are 2 more things I want to discuss with you. First of all, remember the variables we've created in the previous chapter? These variables, such as my apples equal to 5 and my oranges equal to the character string 6 at some point, are actually all vectors themselves. R does not provide a data structure to hold a single number or a single character string or any other basic data type. They're all just vectors of length 1. We can check this by typing is.vector my_apples, which is true, and is.vector my_oranges, which is true as well. That these variables are actually vectors of length 1 can be checked using the length function. This contrasts with the other vectors we've created in this video. The drawn_suits vector, for example, has length 5. The last important thing is that in R, a vector can only hold elements of the same type. They're also often called atomic vectors, to differentiate them from lists, another data structure which can hold elements of different types. This means that we cannot have a vector that contains both logicals and numerics, for example. If you do try to build such a vector, R automatically performs coercion to make sure that you end up with a vector that contains elements of the same type. Let's see how that works with an example. In contrast to recording the suits you draw from a deck of cards, suppose now we are recording the ranks of the cards. We might want to combine the result of drawing 8 cards like this, creating a vector drawn_ranks. If we now inspect this vector, we'll see that the numeric vector elements have been coerced to characters to end up with a homogeneous character vector. This is also what the class function from before tells us. The fact that R handles this for us automatically, upgrading logicals to numerics and numerics to characters when necessary along the way, is useful but can also be dangerous, so be aware of this. If we want to store elements of different types in the same data structure, we'll want to use a list. but that's something for later. Now, it's time to step up your betting game in the exercises. If this video helped you out in any way, please make sure to like and subscribe for more videos. Also, click on the screen right now to watch another video, just like this one with some tips and tricks to help you level up. If you have any questions or suggestions, then you may ask in the comments section below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.